boys and girls, I'm Mr. Scott.
And I'm Frankie!
Frankie and I are just about to read our Bibles.
Like we do every night.
Yes, Frankie, like we do every night.
Hey, Mr. Scott, does everybody read their Bible every night?
I don't think so, Frankie.
Well, why not? I love reading my Bible every night.
Well, Frankie, sometimes people can let other things take up all of their time until they don't have any time left to read their Bibles.
Really? Then why don't they just read their Bibles first? Then they could play video games, go to soccer practice, and diversify their stock portfolio later.
Well, that would be a good idea, Frankie. But even then, there would be a lot of people who wouldn't read their Bibles.
Really? I thought I just solved that problem.
Well, kind of. But Frankie, some people don't want to read their Bibles. They don't want to hear what God has to say to them.
Are you kidding me? Then how would they know how to live their life? Are they just gonna make it up as they go along? I did that making brownies once and that didn't turn out so good.
That's right, Frankie. You didn't follow the directions and those brownies had to be thrown out. They weren't fit to eat.
I know, and I'll eat anything. But I really thought I could figure it out, Mr. Scott. How hard could it be to make brownies?
Well, Frankie, you realize now how important it is to read instructions, don't you?
I sure do. And I also learned that calling 911 for a bad batch of brownies is an inappropriate use of taxpayer funds.
And it's even more important that we follow God's directions. You see, there's a lot of people who think that they can just figure out how to live all on their own, but they end up making a big mess of their lives instead.
Oh, Mr. Scott, that would be awful. I mean, bad brownies is one thing, but a bad life.
I know. So that's why we read our Bibles every day. It shows God that we want to hear what He has to say. And if we follow His directions, we won't make a mess out of our lives.
That sounds great, Mr. Scott. I sure am glad I read my Bible every day. I hope the boys and girls do too.
Me too, Frankie. We should always make it a priority to read our Bibles every day. Night-night, boys and girls.
Night-night.
So one time as Jesus was traveling along.
Night-night with Frankie. Night-night with Frankie. Night-night with Frankie.